Welcome back to another episode of Off the Top Podcast. It is your main man, Jordan, coming in with another spicy Titan review of Attack on Titan, the final season, episode 2 that just dropped this Sunday. And today we have a very, very special guest. It is one of my best friends in the whole wide world, another Attack on Titan fan, and another grade A human being. We have Chris. Chris, how's it going, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about all things Attack on Titan.
Well, I knew that I would be in good company if I did it with you. So thanks again. Huge thank you for joining. And hopefully we'll have you on more of these because I think this will be tons of fun. You bring another like really sharp eye to this stuff, and you have good history of Attack on Titan too. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice to roll with you. But without further ado, dude, just broad scope, man. What did you think of this episode itself? Obviously, we had episode 1, which is a lot more action based, but I feel like we had a lot more contextual and important information flowing through with this episode too.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. I know you and I talked a little bit before we got started on this, but yeah, I like I said, I agree with everything that you said about a lot of context, a lot of I guess history on the Beast Titan, a lot of history of what's his name?
Zeke, dude, this
Zeke.
this
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
yeah, dude. This
But
is
yeah,
what the
there's
podcast game is like.
yeah.
So it's whenever you the second that it starts hitting the record button hits,
Mhm.
anything useful that you had in your mind slips out. But yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, Zeke.
exactly.
So I think that's a perfect way to jump in because that's kind of the main person that we saw at the very beginning with interesting information and stuff like that. But so I want to hear your perspective on this. I wasn't exactly sure if this meant that Zeke was actually Grisha's son because we know that he had a child or two before
Mhm.
he left Marley, but essentially that was just like the biggest mic drop they could have had on us for just the intro itself. So are you
Yeah.
thinking that his son, like legit, or that he like studied under him as like a son?
That's a great question. Um, so if I remember back to the past seasons, I thought that was one of the big reveals was Zeke was one of Grisha's sons. Um, he was the half brother of Aaron, I believe. That was what was said
Mm,
in the past season. So I'm under the belief that he is the son of Zeke and Dinah. And from what we learned in the past seasons, that Dinah was one of the last remaining people of the royal bloodline.
yeah, yeah. That's a good. Like this is what I'm telling you guys. This dude has some excellent Attack on Titan history. He's a historian with this stuff. Um, and I think you're exactly right. And then that kind of solves the moment when Colt was talking to Zeke when they left the meeting, when Zeke implored the commanders and generals to let them back in to finish Operation Paradise. This then after that, Colt was asking him about how he's such an amazing Beast Titan, and he was saying that he's only revealing his secrets, which the most important one was how he wipes his ass when Colt becomes a Titan, which was funny, pretty funny, especially on that route of kind of something so serious. And I'm not exactly sure if Zeke knows he's actually of royal bloodline because it seemed like he was being quite candid with Colt to a point, and he didn't give anything away at that end at all.
Yeah,
So who knows on that?
yeah.
But
I actually have a question for you though.
yeah, what's
Um,
up?
do you think there was more discussed off, I guess, quote unquote, off camera? Because I feel like it
Mm,
kind of just like stopped in the middle of something that was like his big secret or something like that.
yeah, well, there was I know that he was talking about his memories and stuff, and being that, of course Colt is going to have all of those. But I'm sure that there's a lot more contextually that we're missing because once again, dude, um Colt's going to be the runner up of Zeke, and it looks like Colt's involved in all of the warrior meetings and everything like that. And I'm sure he
Mm,
also has taken the time to actually get to know Zeke. And like Zeke said in his in the meeting when he was advising or counseling, um, he had, even though he wasn't being truthful when he said, I don't think that Colt can, like take up the Beast Titan in full and its full potential. I think that he spent enough time with Colt to actually have everyone believe that what he was saying is quite truthful and like, good
Mm,
information. So I'm
yeah.
guaranteeing that their relationship is a lot deeper than we have even had privilege to understand. So
Mm,
long answer of saying, yeah, I think so.
yeah. Okay.
And and moving forward, this is kind of so we're going to be pulling things from different parts of the episode, but um, right after that, the commander, shoot, I'm missing it too. I think it starts with an M. The general that we saw in the first episode, he talks about the potential of them going back in and kind of the current state of affairs. So over the past 3 years, the Marley continent has sent scout ships, and a total of 32 over, and none of them have came back. So
Mm,
essentially saying that it's a black hole and they're going to need to bring some serious firepower right there. And so asking Zeke about this, because he's the most knowledgeable about kind of the affairs of the as far as Titans go over there and their game plan and what they should be threatened by, he kind of thinks that it's probably Aaron and somebody else who's taking out those ships, which obviously we know it's going to be Armin there, right?
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
do you think that there's something else going on?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, we didn't get any, I guess, any indications of other Titans other than Aaron and Armin.
Hmm.
So I believe that it's Aaron and Armin, but you never know. I mean, this show is known for giving you plot twists left and right, so I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if there was something new on the horizon for us that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, man. One thing that I'm fully anticipating, and I'm sure I'm not going to put too much stock into this, but I have a eerie suspicion that when we're going to see, like, when we're going to visit back into the kind of the country that we're used to on the island, we might see the potential of the actual Annie's Titan coming into
Oh
play,
yeah,
hopefully. Because, I mean, it's been about 3 years since they left the island. Maybe they've been able to chip away at it, or if you can swallow that crystal whole or something like that. But a
oh
third
wow,
Titan in the mix, granted, they would need the serum, but with Historia at the command, I'm thinking that they have a lot more, resources
yeah,
to their disposal and stuff like that. But another kind of just harebrained idea thrown out there. But yeah. So
that's a
anyway,
great idea, man.
yeah,
If I
dude,
can
and another.
interject really quick,
Oh, of course,
um,
dude.
yeah, I feel like also on top of that, like after what was it, 4 years? I think is what we're at now, or is it 9?
So it depends on like how you actually count.
Mm-hmm.
From the time that they got over there, I believe, if I'm remembering right, it kind of gets hairy because people keep on saying like 5, 4, 9, all of that
Mm,
stuff, but and 3, because we've had in the last 3 years they've sent over those scout ships. But what I'm thinking is we are actually, so they it started when Reiner was 12, and so it continued 5 years, so till he was 17. And
oh,
then
okay,
after that, so that's the first 5. And then in between there, I
was the
think
four
that,
years ago. Yeah, I
yeah, the
see.
4 year war.
Okay.
And then also, though, throughout that time, there's also been 3 years of them sending scout ships over. So during that war, a year into that war, they've been sending scout ships over. But if you think about the timeline there, that's actually not enough for the 13 years for Reiner and the Beast Titan
Mm,
to have their clocks tick up. So I'm thinking that Reiner either he has to be 12 to 12 plus 13 equals 25. He has to be 24 right now. So, we're missing a couple years.
yeah.
And I'm not sure actually how to do the math on that. Maybe I'm just kind of being fog brained, but am I missing something, or are there years unaccounted for here?
See, you're a lot better than me at knowing the years and stuff. But what I was trying to get at is just like the advancements in the technology that they would have in Parodies too. Because as we know,
Mm,
like they're full of rich resources and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be shocked to see if there was just a growth in advancements in technology and stuff like that. Also, just kind of adding into what you were saying a little bit earlier about Aaron and Armin and just what they've been up to the last 9 to 4 years, however many years you want to put.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I'm fully expecting kind of like the classic Naruto. They come in and they're looking like full grown men and they have like these cool new tricks and stuff. And you
Yeah.
can imagine just in that little time frame we've seen them get the power of those like rocket propelled like
Hmm.
RPGs essentially that they have on their wrists. So I'm sure that they're coming with spice. And it's like
Yeah.
we also have Mikasa as like a full grown woman. She was
That's what I was
wrecking
gonna say.
all living things before as like a teenage girl. So it's just going to be sick to see, dude, to be
Yeah.
honest.
We haven't forgot about Levi either
Oh,
as
son,
well. So
the hardest. Yeah. Dude, and that's actually a good segue to what I was going to say next, which is after that anticipation of sinking 32 battleships, Zeke actually mentions that we're going to need some support. And um, if I'm going to be playing kind of like a episode surgeon here, I think that at the very end of the episode, we talk about the Warhammer Titan that is from the Tibus or the Tiber family.
mhm.
And I'm thinking that that is the Titan that we need for the support to actually save the ships going through. So if we do see this Warhammer, I think that it'll play a big, big role in the actual entry of what's going to be going on and how they're going to be getting onto the island of Paradis in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, I feel like this Titan's gonna be one of them that like we've never even seen before. Like I feel like they're gonna have. So I don't know what kind of powers they're gonna have, but I feel like it's gonna be pretty nuts. And I think Aaron and the rest of the gang are gonna kind of be caught off guard a little bit as to what they're gonna see when they come back.
Yeah, man. And you got to think too, it's just like the normal scope of these things. If they're so logical and reasonable about naming these titans, so it's like Reiner has the armor titan, there's
Mm,
the beast titan, there's the cart titan, there's the jaw titan, and then all of a sudden we have a thing called Warhammer. You got to know that that thing's bringing some sauce. So
yeah,
it's like, why all of a sudden does this thing have such a badass name? I'm assuming it's because it is well founded, and we'll see why. Hopefully.
yeah. And it sounds like from the episode that they're well respected and well known among the Eldians.
Hmm.
Just from what they said about like how they're living in mansions and it seems like just everyone knows something about them. Like they have done something to help their cause, and I just feel like they're super well respected and um, they just know what's up. And I feel like that's just their ace up the sleeve, I guess.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that dude, that's actually another interesting point that you just made, that the actual family and the presence itself will actually play a factor in this war in some way of either
Hmm.
gaining more support so they can send more troops over or anything like that. Not only the Warhammer itself or themselves will play a factor, but just the existence of this family or the presence of this family in this war. And switching gears a little bit, this is something that I realized that you have a lot more knowledge than I do. Essentially, when the next scene that we see, it's actually Reiner, and he's sleeping in this bed, has this terrible dream, and I think the dream is actually about the first, when he was on the island, Paradis. But Gilliord is there. And so that's obviously the Jaw Titan. And we learn a lot about him. And
Hmm.
first of all, we learned that his brother was Marcel. And Chris, I'll let you take the rest of it because it sounds like you know a lot more about kind of the history of this as being the Titan historian than I do. So get after it.
I guess just from what I understood from the past season is that I believe it was Reiner, Berthold, Marcel, and Annie. Like they were the four who came over to the island, however long ago it was. And as they were, I guess, traveling towards, I can't remember the place where they live right now, but where Aaron and Armin live. But what I got out of it was that Marcel was eaten by Ymir, who was turned into a Titan a little while back, and that's how she gained the Jaw Titan. Um,
Mm,
and then from there, Ymir went back. If you remember from past seasons, we remember that Ymir went back with Reiner and Zeke at the end of, I think, season three. And then it flashed back in this episode to, I believe it was Gilliard eating Ymir to get her jaw tightened back to, I guess, his family line. Or sorry,
yeah.
Gilliard ate Ymir.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess there's a lot of things that that opens up the can of worms. One, there does that indicate that Ymir for the longest time? I think she was alive for hundreds of years, right? Because of she was once praised as this like ancient, like she was the bloodline of Ymir. Her real name wasn't Ymir at first, right? She was some sort of orphan. They cut
Yeah,
her, and then she spent like years and years as a Titan, so long that she actually was like sleeping and then got buried under the dirt and then
yeah.
woke up and ate. Yeah. Marcel. And so all of a sudden now she can turn back into a human. I'm not sure if that was by the aid of Marcel or not.
Mhm.
And then one, two, does that also mean that Ymir's changed or Titan didn't really change from there and then? So it's like, is it almost like this thing where if you're a Titan and then you eat another Titan, you don't get their power right away and it has to be the next person that takes it? Or I mean, there's a lot of
Mm,
questions to be answered there. Or it could be that she was kind of already the Jaw Titan. And in my notes, I said, could there be more than one variant of the same Titan? So
yeah,
was Ymir and Marcel the same type of Titan, and they happen to have two of them?
that's
And why
interesting.
would that be the like redundant one, of course? And then
Yeah.
also, does that like Marcel's memories would be with Ymir, right? And Gilliard didn't say anything about Marcel's memories, but it was more about Ymir's memories
Mm,
of
yeah.
Reiner going through all of that stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're gonna learn. Like, I don't think Ymir's gone yet. In a way, like
Mm,
feel like we're gonna learn a lot more about her later on. Because I still feel like she's a lot more important than we think. Um,
yeah, man.
but yeah, that's an interesting thought on the different, like having more than one variant. Because I just like because the Jaw Titan's one of the nine, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know, because that would just kind of abolish
eliminate.
this, I guess, the specialness, for lack of a better word, of the nine.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, sorry, I think I cut you off. But at the same time, that also means that if the Jaw Titan was one form, does that mean that Ymir was her own type of Titan, and then actually like eclipsed one of them? So it's almost like she cannibalized one. So it's like down one, even if they were two of the same. Or did she just kind of continue the line? There's a
Hmm.
lot to be answered there, and hopefully you're right, and we learn a lot more about Ymir and all that stuff. Because for being such a deep and like history rich character, and something where I don't even think like why would she even just let herself get eaten like that? Like she looked tired and beaten up when
Yeah,
Gilliard was
she
about
did.
to eat her. But that doesn't seem like the normal Ymir, right? Like she was in
Yeah.
it to win it for Historia, and then all of a sudden she's kind of like submitting to the people that were going to destroy Historia in the first place, right? Because that's all that Marley wants to do is just take
Hmm.
out the people from that island.
Yeah, and get the founding titan back, the founding titan powers.
Yeah.
I guess I feel like that's the ultimate goal.
Hmm.
Um, which
Yeah, yeah.
reminds me, Aaron has two of the powers, right? He has founding titan and the attack titan.
Annie's power, right? The hardening. Yeah, Attack Titan. Yep, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Um, and I'm not. I think that's through the needle. Like there was an extra needle in like Rod Reese's weird experiment or something
Oh
like that.
no, so he got the founding titan power and the attack titan power from his dad, because his
Oh,
dad
really?
got the attack titan from that guy, right when he was about to get pushed off of the edge, if you
Yeah.
remember back.
Hmm.
um that guy, the double agent guy, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, dude.
He had the attack titan, and then Grisha got the attack titan from him, and then Grisha came and went to Rod Reese, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
either way is good, right?
what's up?
I said either way is good, but
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. So he went to Rodriguez, and then I think that's where he got the founding Titan power. So I believe Grisha had both, and then gave it to Aaron. That's how Aaron has both now.
I see. So this dude was playing a little bit of double duty on there.
Yeah.
That's cool. But once again, doesn't that answer the or ask the question of like that's obviously then two Titan powers there because if he had the double
Hmm.
agent's power, then where did Annie get hers from?
It's a good question. Yeah, I
It's
don't know
onions
because
with this game.
that
Go
little.
for it.
I remember you said something about that vial and that syringe or whatever.
Hmm.
I believe it was just a heart, like just a normal hardening power, but I could be wrong about that too.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of things to ask and know, and it probably would take, not only the anime but probably reading of the manga to run through all
Yeah.
this stuff because
Oh yeah.
there's so much information, man, and we're only
Yeah.
getting part of it, right?
I'm getting deep in the weeds right now too.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, but to keep the episode and the episode review pushing on, once we learn a whole bunch of stuff about Ymir, Gilliard, and all of that stuff, I think probably the most interesting part of this episode is kind of the play of Reiner's morality and as a human being, kind of how he sees things, and we get this from a couple weird things that go on. One, we see Reiner meet the candidates. So we're talking about Gabby, uh, Udo, and then we figure out the young girl that's not Gabby. We figure out her name is Zofia, and then of course we have Falco as well. He meets those guys, talks about, "Hey, I'm fine." Just talks about the war things, just because they were worried about them. Actually, let me actually take a couple steps back because there's something important that I missed here that I think contextually is actually kind of important. Number one, Pike is a woman. We see that she comes into Reiner's room. And another really important thing is that she has the ability to stay in Titan form for a long time.
Hmm.
2 months in one go, which is actually really, really weird. And another thing, too, is that we actually find out that, she really hopes that she doesn't have to fight. Even though she's been fighting alongside of Gilliard the whole time, it's almost like they forget their human form in a sense by the conversation they were having. And
Yeah.
not only that, but Chris, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that she's actually extraordinarily smart, like
Yeah.
just as a regular person.
Yeah. She does seem very wise. I know we haven't really got to meet her very much and get to know her background. But just kind of from the interactions that she had with different characters, I feel like she is a bright one. And she knows what she's talking about and stuff like that, and seems very wise. Um, do we think that she's the cart titan?
Yeah, we know she's the
Okay,
card
okay,
titan. Hmm. And it's also said in there that she was the cart titan for 2 whole months, like
yeah,
straight, and so she kind of forgot how to walk, right? And so that's why
yeah.
she's with the
That's why she has
crutch.
the crutches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. And in there, she kind of like that's kind of her first meeting of her, but then we see her in kind of a little bit of other roles as well. And anyway, so we go through, reverse back to when I was talking about Reiner meeting the candidates again, saying hi to them, and then we see Reiner kind of personality or kind of the PTSD of Reiner come into play, where he actually sees flashbacks of himself or of the candidates as when he was a candidate. So he saw Annie, he saw Barthold, he saw Gilliard, and then he saw a mystery guy, which I'm assuming was Marcel. But I'm not sure if I remember what Marcel looks like. So maybe you can confirm that for me. If you remember those people that he saw as recruits of himself, it was actually a brown haired guy with kind of
Yeah.
tanner skin. That was Marcel, right?
Oh, I don't know actually. I don't remember
Mm.
what he looks like either. I did catch that mystery person. I might have to go back and check back on the old episodes and see if you can see his face again. But honestly, I'm not sure. That was my assumption that it would be Marcel, but you never know. It could be another. random person that we don't know about. It could be Warhammer.
Yeah, yeah, but I would say that there's a low chance if Warhammer, because the Tiber family has kept that
Yeah.
Titan in their family for such a long time that
Hmm.
there's no way that they would need a cadet for that. But it would
Yeah,
be
for sure.
wise for them to like run him through as a warrior themselves, because I'm sure it takes a lot of training, and they go through a whole bunch of stuff with that. But yeah, I mean, who knows about this person? It could be Marcel or somebody else. Hopefully we find out more later. But we also see Reiner as he looks as a kid. And right
Mhm.
before we pan to them going on the midnight train, there's also to Liberia, where that's their hometown. We also see that Pike is looking kind of over them. So Pike was the person that said, "Hey, Reiner, you should go see the candidates." And then Pike's now watching the interaction, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why they put that. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I feel like now any single little thing they do, I'm like, dude, that's was totally on purpose. And I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out why.
Yeah. It's hard not to read too like I guess read too much into things. But
Hmm.
I'm totally on the same page, man. Like every single little frame and shot that they have in these episodes, I'm like, oh, what is that? Like that means
Yeah.
it has to mean something. Like, and it's just I don't know. I feel like they're just giving us little pieces of information that will all fit together in one awesome ending. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It all will all coalesce. And then there will be one epiphany moment where we're just like,
Mm,
oh gosh, we figured it all out.
yeah.
Doubt it, because I know how these guys do it. But and I'm not as sharp as they are, but hopefully we're on the right track. But anyway, so we're on this midnight train, and once again, this is all about like Reiner character development as far as I'm
Hmm.
concerned. One, I want to see if you picked this up, Chris, but did you notice that Reinar was actually in the back with like the regular soldiers and the candidates, like having a good time? And then all the actual warrior titans and the generals were in the upper cart, just like being like very quiet and staid. It's like, why was Reiner even back there? Did you
Yeah.
notice that?
I did. I did. I don't really have any assumptions or anything like that, but I did notice it.
Hmm. Um, and then So I think that this is obviously super important, but we actually get a really meaningful interaction between Falco and Reiner. And I think
Hmm.
that they kind of saw each other as, thinking the same thing as they're living this like life with a horrible demise and end, and it's inevitable for them.
Yeah.
They're used as weapons. If you're skilled enough to become a Titan, then you have a horrifically violent and hard, short life, and then you're done. And this is actually probably one of the strongest proofs or evidence that we see of Falco being Reiner's, you know, kind of a replacement. Or do you think that this is still a red herring?
I don't know. I wanted to ask you, did you notice when they were talking, Reiner saying, like, he almost said that Gabby was going to guarantee to get the Attack Titan, but then he said that Falco was going to be the one to, like, save her from the dark future that was
Yeah.
ahead of them. What do you think about that?
Dude, so this is the thing I think about as far as like both of their acknowledgement of kind of, it seems like they're becoming similar as people just because of the thing of one, they both see that this is kind of a horrific end, and especially since Reiner cares about Gabby a lot, being that they're family.
Yeah.
This is something I haven't said yet, but we figure out a couple minutes later that they're cousins. And also that there's so much promise in her being so sharp and capable that, it's almost like she doesn't know what is coming, and only
Yeah.
Falco and Reiner see it happening, where it's like this horrific demise. Falco even mentions that she's going to die at 27.
Yep.
And just this little side note, I want to hear from you. Do you think there's anything meaningful from, Reiner is going to die at 25 from the Titan curse that lasts 13 years. So he was actually injected at 12. We have Gabby, who's actually 14, which means if she has 13 years, like starting now, or she's 13 because next year's the last year for these guys. So either way, they have a 13 or 14-year old in a war. Isn't that crazy?
It's nuts. Like, can you think about yourself as a 14-year-old being in that situation and making those decisions and
Yeah.
seeing like all of the horrific things happening around you? Like, I feel like that would cause like you see it in Reiner a little bit. Like he he has a lot of serious PTSD issues. And
Mhm.
so it's crazy to me that the Marlians would be so, I guess, heartless and ruthless towards them just because like that's something that a 14-year-old should never go through in an anime or in regular life in general, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, I think a safe bet, Chris. I think you're in good company with that one. And also, dude, this is another thing to note is that this war has been going on for 14 years. Contextually, they seemed really comfortable with them being on the battlefield. So I'm sure that this wasn't their first foray out there. And then also Reiner was battle hardened and sent over to another, on the island of savages in quotations, at the age of 12. So it's like, obviously these, they think of the LUDs as just, disposable. It could be that another thing they could have given Reiner the power a little bit later as well. So
Yeah,
he's over there, and then he comes back because I think 12 is a little young to be doing the recruit training, but maybe it is that age, and that's when he got the Titan power. But it's incredibly shocking to see the violence in there. And another thing too is like, Marley has this kind of thing in them. Of course, they really dislike the LUDians, but the acknowledgement was when Udo saw the prisoners of war getting put on the ship to go back to their country, of saying like, knowing that they're going to say horrific things about Marley, and saying, they literally killed a
insane.
whole bunch of people by
Hmm.
sending them off that blimp, and then turning into titans, and then just plummeting the earth as a
Yeah,
weapon. So it's they're savages, and it's kind of hilarious to see uh, the viewpoint of the people on the island as savages as well, but
yeah,
even worse than them in a sense.
yeah. It almost seems like I guess the creators of this entire show are like they're it almost like to me it almost seems like they want you to side with the Marlians a little bit. I don't know if like
Mhm.
you feel the same way, but I kind of get that vibe a little bit. Like they want us to like be like, oh, like they like we should understand like why they think this way and stuff like that. But I don't know. That's just me.
So I think that there's obviously a really good reason to do that, and from a storytelling perspective, I want you to think about all the stories that you've ever felt that were compelling, that didn't forcibly or kind of either like less forcibly persuade you into either understanding the villain or actually liking them.
Mm,
And I think that's what they're doing is
yeah, for
it's a
sure.
much more dynamic and touching story if you can see both sides of the story itself, not just
Yeah,
one-sided, these people are good, these people are bad, the good guys should win type of thing.
yeah, I agree. True that.
To in all passions and, or all intentions of being a pun, to get this train back on the tracks,
We keep going off track. I'm sorry,
we just get
guys.
off. Yeah, no, this is good stuff, this is good stuff, dude. um this So we get off the boat, or get off the train. One other thing, Pike is actually pretty kind and generous. She buys all the alcohol for the guys. This is briefly mentioned. Nothing too important, but once again, Pike is somebody who's new to kind of our universe and understanding watching the anime, so I think it's important to kind of highlight um you know instances where we see her character. But going over, we actually see everyone with their parents, and the one thing that I found really interesting, Chris, and I'm kind of going to just jump to this, but if that is right and Zeke is Grisha's son, why is why does he have grandparents?
I believe the grandparents were also mentioned in the past episodes. Um, because I think what happened was Grisha and Dinah were a part of like the rebel faction of the Eldians who were going up against the other Eldians who were actually siding with the Marlians.
Yeah, yeah, kind
Um,
of like the hardcore. Like I thought those were the followers of Ymir, the
yeah,
bloodline lovers.
yeah, exactly. Um, and I believe that there was kind of a rift between I don't know whose side of the family, like Dinah's. I don't know if they're Dinah's parents or Grisha's parents, but either way, Um, I feel like there was a rift between those two, and then Zeke sided with his grandparents, other than his parents. You remember when Zeke kind of dimed out Grisha and Dinah about what they were
Yeah,
doing,
that.
and that's how this. I mean, that's how everything unfolded. Really, actually, I don't
Mhm.
think about it.
The yeah, so that means two things. Obviously, Zeke's a fat narc,
Yes.
and two, the thing that I find interesting is that somehow they didn't kill the grandparents because
Mm.
like Reiner said, talking to Falco just moments or minutes before that, just Falco mentioning something that is anti-Marleyan in a way or anti-warrior, his whole
Hmm.
family could get murked and be
Yeah.
just like Titan fodder. So it's like, how do we see that Zeke's grandparents are there? Maybe it's just like a small incongruity, but or they
Yeah.
just did it
True.
different back in that day. But I just find it kind of out of character, out of place. But anyway, the show goes on, and um, so I want you to actually explain this dinner scene with Reiner's family and then Gabby's family as well, because I think it's super interesting and gorgeous how they kind of did it as storytellers. But I want you to kind of explain this thing first, and then I'll come in and talk about it too.
Okay. So basically, what happened is they were all sitting at dinner, and we learned that Gabby is Reiner's cousin, and then I believe it was Gabby's dad. He kind of started asking Reiner about what was going on the island the last 5 years, and that's when Reiner goes into his spiel about what was going on, and um, it was really interesting, like how he was kind of explaining how um, these these people were living on the island. I guess the devilish people that they call them. Um, yeah. Shoot, I'm losing all of my train of thought right now.
Dude, you're good. I think you nailed it so far, and that was the super interesting part of it all is the way that Reiner described it.
mm-hmm.
Um, So tell me if you were seeing it differently, but from my perspective, it's almost like Reiner like switches back and forth, inadvertently
Oh,
between
interesting.
being kind of like a warrior and being somebody who's like exposed to this other group of people. So at first he's saying, it's almost like it's like if you read it, it seems totally incongruent because he says, this island is full of just horrific savages. And you're thinking like if you just think of that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then the next following sentence talks about how, for you guys that know, obviously Sasha, he talks about how this horrible savage took a potato and started eating it when they're being talked to, and when she got in trouble, she split the potato in half or like, split the potato and gave some of it to the guy that she was getting in trouble, her commander. And the thing that he says is, he's like, and it wasn't even a equal split. There's just no consideration with them. It's
Yeah.
like, wait, weren't we just talking about savages? Now we're talking about people that aren't splitting potatoes right. So this is where I think that it's like he's on the verge of just kind of like he's just like teetering barely. And I think he's barely going to keep it together. And another thing that I found so cool about this scene, Chris, is that in it, slowly but surely, you can hear the music getting like more freaky and freaky and freaky.
Yeah.
The more that
Almost
he
like you're telling a
describes
ghost
these
story.
people. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it like gets more and more exciting, even though the things that he's saying are like humanistic things, right? So it's like
Yeah.
he talks about a guy who's like super selfish, and then somebody else who is really worried about what other people think of them, somebody who went to the bathroom and they didn't even remember why they went. Um, and then of course I think he mentions Aaron saying that he's like single track minded, and that's where it like kind of explodes right there.
Hmm.
Or does he say? Maybe I'm missing the kind of the timing on this, but he says that there's a whole bunch of people over there, like all kinds of people, and then we were over there as well. And so
Yeah.
it's almost like they turned from savages into people without him even noticing.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's kind of like a clear picture of Reiner, his mentality just kind of like fracturing all over the place, being that he was exposed to these people. Number one, I think he was actually acting different because Gilliard accused him of acting like his brother. Seeing him through Ymir's stuff as far as him being
Oh
reliable
yeah.
over there. And it seemed like he was actually a better human being, talking about, he was more reliable over there or something like that. And I don't know. I think that he's obviously going to be one of the most interesting characters to track throughout this. But
Yeah.
what a crazy scene, right?
Yeah. I definitely Reiner's been an interesting character to me throughout. Um, but going back to what you mentioned about like there, like when he said there are people on the island. Um, I don't know if you remember this, but Gabby actually was like there's actual people over there. Like they're not all like I think she said like
Mm,
they're all like demons or something like that. Like right?
yeah,
Uh,
devils. She's like,
yeah,
yeah, but they're all devils, right?
yeah. So I don't know. It's just interesting, like the way that the I guess the Marley and Eldians, the way they think about the people on the island, and like it seems like they're like trained to think like obviously they're trained to think in that way, but it's kind of funny to me that they're the same as them, like they're actually the same race as as those people. So like why would they be any different? Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
don't understand.
Yeah, and it's like they were even more peaceful because they ran away, not wanting to, fight and be
Yeah,
treated
and
like second class citizens.
literally be enslaved by his people.
Yeah, so it's crazy, man. Um, the and there's just kind of it shows kind of the uglier sides of it all too.
Hmm.
With of course, also at the end of this too, it's like Reiner's actually, well, number one, we see a warrior commit suicide. Not a warrior, but one of the soldiers commit suicide by jumping off the top of his building. Which, number one, the building wasn't very high, so it's like what a cry for help if you're
Yeah.
jumping off of a 2-story building because you can't
Oh yeah.
either hang yourself or do anything else, or maybe it was a public display, right?
Mm,
To have other people see it. But there's also at the end just like pure worry that Reiner has to go back into it. And that's like one of the last moments of the episode that we see, right?
yeah. I did notice that.
It's and what do you think, like, of course now we know a little bit more um about Reiner. We obviously know the situation as far as them trying to get the Warhammer family involved. Um, and them, of course, making moves to get the founding titan because their backs against the wall against the other continents and countries, and they're just not technologically advanced enough. There's also worry from the Marleyan perspective. There's worry from the the Eludian perspective that are on Marley, seeing like, hey, if we're not going to be used for anything, then they're just going to get rid of us because they hate us already. Um, there's just a whole bunch of angles that are adding pressure to this. Where do you think next episode like lands us?
Mm. I definitely think that we're gonna meet someone from the Tiber family. Uh,
Mm,
and then from there, I don't know. I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to see Aaron and the gang, at least once. But I don't know if it's gonna be next episode. I do think next episode's gonna have a lot more history and contextual things like we did in this one. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting to know more about Reiner, maybe more about Falco too and his family and stuff like that. And I keep forgetting about Zeke. We're gonna learn a lot more about Zeke too, I think, too, in the next episode.
Dude, that's what I'm really hoping, man. I think that Zeke's a really interesting character. I want to figure out how he actually wipes his ass. There's some theories I have, but they can always be refined. But yeah, I think I would really like to see the Warhammer, the Tiber family, more information about Zeke, and I'd really like to see also the connection between Reiner and Falco, and to see
Mm,
how that kind of plays out as well.
yeah. Going back kind of to when Reiner had that flashback of seeing him and his friends like right before they were leaving. You know that scene that I'm talking about.
Yeah, as all candidates.
Yeah. So right when like Reiner was like said wait or whatever, you see Falco in Reiner's position. So I feel like that was. You remember that?
Wait. I thought Falco was actually in. Oh, actually, dude, holy cow. Dude, that's actually an amazing call. That dude, that is such a dude, they're legends for that. They literally, yeah, it's almost like the group is leaving. Falco's the one left behind. And then
Yeah.
he's like, he catches up to the group, and then it's like literally another flashback of Reiner, and then Falco's or Reiner's exactly where Falco was. Dude, that's
Yeah.
actually an amazing call.
Yeah. So
Great
I'm
read
wondering
on
if they're trying to make it seem like that like Falco is on the same path as Reiner, but I feel like they're building up on that, and then he's at some point gonna split off from where Reiner was going. Because like I'm in full belief that Falco is gonna join Aaron and them at some point. I don't know about
you. You
you,
think so,
but
dude?
I do think I think Falco's gonna have kind of this moment where he realizes that like the situation that he's in is not the one, not an ideal one, and not one that he fully believes in. Because I feel like there's little pieces of information that you see throughout the last two episodes when we're with Falco that he's just completely different from the rest of the people that he's with, and I just feel like his personality and his character aligns more with the people on Paradise Island rather than Marley. What do you think?
Yeah, man. You're probably right. I find that they're obviously taking the time to actually illustrate this huge character difference between Falco, his peers, and everybody else. And they're taking the time to also align him, like I was saying before, with Reiner. So there's definitely going to be an interplay. I would be shocked to see. I would say that Falco has a lot easier time switching to the other side than Reiner does,
Mm-hmm.
just the institutionalization of the dude. Even though we see he's on the teetering edge, it's almost like he's gonna have to destroy everything he loves and knows to, you know, hop back on to the Aaron train. And to be honest, I think they would try to kill him before he had a chance to even talk about
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Um, but dude, I actually find that that's actually a pretty interesting theory. And the more and more I'm watching, the more I'd bet money that that Falco gets Reiner's power. But I'm not sure if that's going to be on recommendation of Reiner or even Gabby. Something happens to Gabby in a sense,
Yeah.
because there's no reason why she shouldn't get the power, but obviously something's going to have to happen for that to happen.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely think Gabby's gonna get the power,
Mm,
but I just feel like she like you were saying earlier, like she doesn't like uh you were saying that like I feel like she doesn't feel like fully know what she's getting herself into. Like I feel like she's
yeah,
still kind of naive, but also like super cocky and like really thinks that like she's this I don't know this God given person to the Marlians who's gonna save everyone. But I feel like that's going to be her huge downfall, and I think that's where Falco's going to come in and get that power from her. But like at the same time, like Falco would have to turn into a Titan and then eat her in order to do that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting for sure.
yeah, man. Yeah, I mean that's the that's the safest call we can ever make now. Is it's going to be interesting. We're 2 episodes in. From what I've read, we have 16 fully, so 14 episodes to go, and there's going to be a lot of information in those episodes. But I still can't fathom how they're going to smash so much into so little, and like tie up all the storylines, have the war between Paradis and Marlene's and all of that stuff. But it's going to be amazing, man, and I truly can't wait, dude.
Yeah, same. I do have one more question for you though.
Hit me with your best shot.
How many episodes do you think, like, how many episodes in do you think until we see Aaron and everyone else on Parody?
Ooh, dude, that's a really good question, man. You know what? I think the way that they're actually going through this, excuse me, I think the way that they're actually going through this, I'm willing to say episode 5. So, two more. So we need episode 3, 4, and then 5. We might go through it just by the way that they're actually kind of adjusting this stuff. But um, I'm just not sure, man. Episode
Yeah,
5, I mean, it's just like kind of a loose bet at this point. I don't
yeah,
think we're
totally.
going to see anybody tomorrow or next episode, but what do you think?
I was I was thinking around 6. That is just a complete guess. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just feel like there's still a lot of development stuff that needs to happen with the characters that we're with right now.
Hmm.
And I feel like we're on 4 more episodes until 6. So I don't know. I feel like they would get a lot in before we got there. But yeah, that is my best educated guess on when we're going to see it. But
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see, for one, like what they look like after all this time, and also what the island looks like itself. Like I wonder if anything has changed with the walls and anything's changed with technology, and also very curious how Armin is doing with the colossal titan.
Yeah, man. I would, dude, that's what I was just thinking about. I hope he comes back and like looking battle hardened. Um, I'm sure, like, he's going to be even more intelligent. And it also, I mean, there's just a lot to go into it. But once again, man, I'm so excited to go through it. We'll definitely be hopping on this again. And is there anything that you want to say to the Aboutcast fans
Mm.
now that you're on here?
The only thing I can think of is thank you. Like, thank Jordan. Thank you for having me on here. It's a lot of fun doing this. Like, this is probably obviously my first time I've ever done this, but I've had a lot of fun talking to you about this, and look forward to talking more Attack on Titan every week.
Yeah, man, bro. I mean, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's just a conversation between, really good friends talking about something that we both love. And, thank you, number one, for being on here. And thanks for being a great, co host with me and guest. If there's, and also thanks to the fans who are listening right now. Obviously, a little bit longer, but a lot more rich, a lot more dynamic having another guest on the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And then, of course, you can be expecting another episode about the review on episode 3 next week. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Thank you.